Hey, third time's a charm, right? Hey, welcome to race number 4 of 29 in the 1989 Throwbacks. We've had 3 races, 3 different winners, 3 different Chevrolets, and Dale Earnhardt has jumped out to a pretty nice lead early on, getting a top 5 in every single one of the 3 races thus far. He leads Jeff Bodine by 58 points. Richmond, since we've moved over to the new configuration, the one race that we had there was definitely a caution-riddled one. So it'll be interesting to see how the second race at the new configuration will pan out for us. It ought to be interesting, no doubt about it. Anyways, we're going to see how everyone qualifies here, and that's going to put Tim Richmond up at the top with a speed of 120.225 miles an hour. He's already got a win this season, so he is in some pretty good shape, I gotta say. No doubt about that. So that's going to put Tim Richmond in the lead, Bill Elliott second, Phil Parsons third, Ricky Rudd fourth, Dale Earnhardt fifth, Jeff Bodine sixth, Rusty Wallace seventh, Alan Kowicki eighth, Terry Labonte ninth, and Darrell Waltrip will be rounding out your top 10. Chevrolets, as I said, have been the dominating force. Will that continue to be the case as we get our string of short tracks just in our first third of the season? Oh, I've still got a few seconds. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, so I don't know.
Drivers, start your engines.
There is your command, and these cars are going to get fired up, and we're going to get this race going here. It will be a 100 lap affair at this 3/4 of a mile oval. Should be able to get this race done. And the green flag is out and we are underway here from Richmond. Only the second race on this configuration. They're already going 3 wide. Look at that, 3 wide for the third position. As Dale Earnhardt's wasting little time to try to get up to the front. Look at this, he's already moved into second place. And we've already got a car in the inside wall. Derek Cope, Mickey Gibbs, Dale Jarrett, and Derek Cope still getting knocked around. The race back to the line will be for the 25. And Derek Cope just got knocked around there, the 10 car. And unsurprisingly, lap number 1, we've already got victim number 1. So we're going to see what happened here. And I know the 29 came down and pounded the wall. So that's Dale Jarrett in the 29. You'll see the 88 come across here. Yep. That knocks the 10 around. Mickey Gibbs there getting involved. Dave Marcus, Lake Speed. Butch Miller in the 51, 90. Chad Little. All of them getting a pretty decent part of it. Ben Hess seemed to get around it just fine. Same thing with AJ Foyt and Jimmy Means. So unsurprisingly, we've already got our first incident. And Derek Cope is out. We'll see what's going on here. We'll see Chad Little, Dave Marcus. They both come down pit road. Pretty much everyone that was involved or near that wreck's just going to come down pit road. An easy scheme nonetheless. And you can see they've cut off the front end of Chad Little's car already. So obviously there was some kind of tire rub on that car, but they've just completely taken off everything on that car. Why not? Oh, I love it when NASCAR teams do this to try to get their car back out there. I always enjoy seeing cars like this. It just shows the dedication of these teams. They want to get their car to finish at the end of the race, no matter what the cost. And This Don Levy team, of course, was ineligible for the Throwbacks last season. And this year, coming back with a rookie, Chad Little, that's pretty awesome right there. I'm surprised they didn't do the same thing with Mickey Gibbs, but I'm guessing there just wasn't a tire rub there. Meanwhile, here at the front, Tim Richmond has the lead. Dale Earnhardt's in second. Phil Parsons having a pretty good showing in the third position. Rusty Wallace in fourth, and Ricky Rudd in fifth. Phil Parsons, to his credit, he did finish second at Rockingham, and he also had a solid running at Atlanta. So he's had a pretty good start to this season. Of course, Phil Parsons, he only has one win in this season, and that came 1986 at Riverside. What was, I have to say, a decent surprise to everyone, but I think everyone pretty much also knew that Phil Parsons had it in him. And that team continues to do quite well. Anyways, sorry about that. I had to go on mute for a second. We should be going back green this time around, and we indeed are. As far as cars that are lapped down, we don't have any. So it's just going to be 38 cars running single file. The last car on the lead lap, well, all of them are on the lead lap. The only car that was retired, is Derek Cope in the 10, which is definitely going to be disheartening to the Wickham Racing team, who struggled last year with rookie Ken Bouchard. Ken Bouchard, of course, son of Ron Bouchard, 3-time winner in this series. Yeah, actually, a 3-time winner of this series. Got his first win in 81 at Talladega, second win, 84 Atlanta, and his third win, 86 at North Wilkesboro. The green flag is out. And we've already got a battle for third. Look at this. They're going 3 wide again. You could see the 9 getting into the wall there. A couple other cars as well further back. And everything I was saying about Phil Parsons, well, you could just wipe that off the record right now. And it looks like the caution's not back out, so Mickey Gibbs just came back down pit road. And Dale Earnhardt has gotten around Tim Richmond, so he is going to take the lead for now. Dale Earnhardt having a very strong start to the 1989 season. All he's trying to do is repeat. He's a 3-time champion of the series, and just the words 3-time champion will allow you to be etched into lore in this series. You think about all the 3-time champions: Cale Yarborough, Darrell Waltrip, Richard Petty, David Pearson. Speaking of Richard Petty, I think he tried to come down pit road, but ended up not turning in time and hitting the pit barrier. The caution will probably be coming out for that. Or not. Okay. So Richard Petty tried to come down pit road, but I don't think he got the car slowed down in time. Either that or he locked up the brakes. This is a very, very difficult pit road to get down. So not surprising to see these kinds of mistakes going on. And meanwhile, we've got a battle for the lead. Ricky Rudd is right on the back of the 3, and this is big news for Ricky Rudd, somebody who has not won a race in a long, long time. You have to go back 1,228 days to the Fall Charlotte race of 1985. It's the 5th longest winless streak in this series, believe it or not. Only Harry Gant, Richard Petty, Mark Martin, and JD McDuffie have a longer one out of active drivers. And that's just crazy to think of, that Ricky Rudd would be in this, because he seems to be up front a lot. Yeah, he seems to be in the top 10, seems to be in the top 5 in points, top 5, top 10 in points. The thing is that he doesn't get up there commonly and lead a ton of laps. And here he is, he's right on the back of the 3 car, the man in black, Dale Earnhardt, 3-time champion of the series. The man who stands alone at 12th all-time in wins, and if he wins here today, he will tie for 11th in 11th all-time on the wins list. Sorry about the cutout there. He would tie Tim Flock for all-time wins, and that would be a huge milestone for Dale Earnhardt, obviously. Ricky Rudd, of course, is just trying to get off the slide. And what could be another big race would be for Tim Richmond if he was able to get a victory today. He would end up passing Bill Elliott, I believe, in career wins. Yeah, he would. He would be passing Bill Elliott in career wins, and that is huge. Meanwhile, looks like we've got a battle here for the 4th position. Jeff Bodine trying to find his way around Mark Martin. Bodine looking low. Not quite enough. Nope. There we go. Bodine's going to try to pull down low again. See if he can actually make a move here on this 6 car, and indeed he will. There goes Bodine around. Mark Martin way up the track. He's in the wall. Here comes Phil Parsons. He's going to drive around. So Mark Martin will lose 2 positions on that affair. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd is still running down this 3 car. And short tracks, man, they can really be mentally tough on you. And look at this, he's right on the back of the 3. And here it comes down, he's going to use AJ Foyt as a pick. And Ricky Rudd is going to go to the lead here at Richmond. And this is huge for Ricky Rudd, absolutely huge. If he can get off the schneid, as we said, 1,228 days since his last win, he would love to finally get a win here. Ricky Rudd getting off the schneid. Big. Meanwhile, Kyle Petty is showing yet another impressive run for this upstart Felix Sabate's team. In the top 10 again, and ahead of a couple of championship caliber teams. Your 1984 champion Bill Elliott, and of course 7-time winner last season, Rusty Wallace. So, yeah, I mean, these guys were in the championship hunt until the final 2 races, pretty much. You can see Elliott getting around the 27 there. Now here comes Elliott underneath the 42. Looks like he's going to be able to do that. Elliott's going to overtake Kyle Petty. That puts us now on lap number 24. And we've been, I don't want to say surprisingly, incident-free, but other than that, first caution and Richard Petty not being able to get down on a pit road in time, it seems like we've been okay. And whoa! Wow, the 26 car really had to shove Butch Miller up the track there, and he had to get on the apron, and that's going to kill a lot of momentum. This track isn't banked much, but it's still enough. 12, 13 degrees about. It's still enough, no doubt about it. And meanwhile, that's going to put Earnhardt right on the back, 26. Ricky Rudd, actually, to my surprise, has the fastest lap out of everybody on the track, 116.364 miles per hour. And that is, in general, a really good run, as I think that will push the average speed of this race over 90 miles an hour to this point. We'll see if we can push it to 100 in the next few laps. Be really cool. You can see Chad Little's beaten up car, as Hutch Strickland, the rookie, goes right by. Hutch Strickland is the Rookie of the Year favorite, no doubt about it. The young one, the newest part of the Alabama gang. Of course, that formerly led by Bobby Allison. Now you can pretty much say that's really being led by his son Davey now. And speaking of Davey Allison, he has had a, well, lackluster start to the season. No doubt about it. Currently, he is 13th. The first two races he ended up wrecking out of. That's not good. But he had a solid finish last week at Atlanta, and he's moved himself up out of the bottom 10 positions in points, and he would like to move maybe into the top 25 by the end of this race. But Davey Allison, coming off of what can only be said as a very disappointing season last year that couldn't match up to his rookie year, and this year just has been equally as disappointing really for Davey Allison, at least to start. We'll see if he can do any better though as this season continues. Spotlight continues to be on. Speaking of rookies, although it's very hard to call this man a rookie, someone has won several hundred dirt track races in the 70s and 80s. Dick Trickle in the 84 car. It's never too late to start your career here in the Cup Series. He's in his rookie season at the ripe old age of 46. So Dick Trickle here with the Stavolo brothers taking over Bobby Allison's ride. And he's going to try to, at least get rookie of the race here. Even though, like I said, it's really a rookie in parentheses. This guy has a ton of dirt tracking experience. Obviously, he's going to love short tracks like this. And you can see him up into 12th right now, doing a really good job for that Stavolo Brothers Buick. And here he goes. Dick Trickle's going to be battling for 11th here. So he's going to try to get around the 27 of Rusty Wallace here. Wallace is going to slide up the track, and there goes Mr. Trickle around, and he will move into the 11th position. Meanwhile, there really isn't a battle for position anywhere in the top 10. Everyone's pretty well spread out right now within the top 10. So right now, this is really the best battle for the 10th position between Kyle Petty and Dick Trickle. Kyle Petty, I gotta say, has impressed me so far with this new team. And Dick Trickle, as we said, needs absolutely no introduction. Like I said, he is a dirt tracking legend, winning several hundred, and I'm not undercutting that, several hundred dirt track races in his career. Some say that that number is actually closer to 1,000. You know, it's hard to really pin down exactly how many dirt track races this man has won. He is definitely a true legend. Can he make a name for himself in the Cup Series is the question, though. Certainly one of the oldest rookies in NASCAR history. I'll have to take a look at that. 46 years old and finally breaking into the Cup Series. Doing a good job. Man, Kyle Petty's trying to do everything to keep that 84 behind him. It looks like resistance is going to be futile, though. Here comes Dick Trickle to the bottom. He wants a top 10 here at Richmond. And it looks like he's going to be able to get it. There he goes. Dick Trickle will be going into the 10th position here. Meanwhile, here's Dick Trickle's teammate, Bobby Hillin Jr. He's not doing quite as well, currently being 23rd once he passes Neil Bonnet there in the 21. So he is the first car one lap down. The next car to pass is Jimmy Spencer in the 88. We'll see how long that takes. You can see Richmond comfortably in third. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd continues to hold about a 1 second lead over Dale Earnhardt. And it's got to be said, the prospects of Ricky Rudd breaking his long winless streak got to be looking pretty good right now. He's got the fastest car on the track. He's pulling away from Dale Earnhardt, pulling away from Tim Richmond. Two people that have to be definitely described as favorites going into this race. Meanwhile, here's the closest to the front battle right now that we have. Alan Kawicki seems to be knocking right on the back door of Mark Martin here. Alan trying to get up into the 6th position. Alan Kawicki, of course, got his first career win on a short track. That happened at Martinsville in, believe it or not, 1987. Running a phenomenal race. He was running second at the time. Tim Richmond went down a cylinder, and he had to run Tim Richmond down 8.5 seconds in the final 10 laps. And he did it with time to spare. And he was able to pick up his first career win in what had to be one of the biggest upsets of all time. And we all thought, oh, that's just a fluke victory. That probably won't be happening again. Just 2 races later, he'd go on to win the Coca-Cola 600, and everybody was like, whoa, Alan, where did this come from? Really making the Coke 600 out to be the race that really anyone can win. And then he'd go on next year to win the Talladega 500, or the Winston 500 rather, not the Talladega 500, the Winston 500. And that's huge. And he becomes one of the quickest drivers to win 2 out of the 4 big races in NASCAR. He's just got to win the Southern 500 and the Daytona 500 to get a career Grand Slam, and not too many people can say that they have that. Yeah, and that's truly incredible that he's already won 2 out of the 4. You know, he's shown some success, no doubt about it, although his wins were heavily aided by great pit strategy. It just shows that this guy's got a very crafty team, and they always seem to really boost their positions on race day from where they qualified. And that's all that you can really ask for out of this 7 crew. They just seem to put a good race together week in, week out. And you can see here he's going to get underneath Mark Martin. And this is all you can ask for. And of course, Alan Kowicki being an owner driver. Now you can see Bill Elliott getting into the picture. Elliott getting involved. He's kind of getting held up by Bobby Hill and Jr. here. Kowicki able to get underneath Ernie Irvin, driver of that 2 car. Elliott pretty much being hung up right here, not wanting to make it 3 wide here at Richmond, and I think that's probably a smart thing to do. No reason to become too impatient on the road courses. He's got the pass done on Mark Martin, so Martin will fall back to 8th, Elliott to the 7th position. You can see Eddie Bierschwell way up the track in the 23. And now here comes Martin. He's going to come screaming back on the inside. Hillen still hasn't loosened his grip any on the position. And now Martin coming down on the inside. He's going to try to pass Elliott back here going into this corner. He's going to be able to do it. So Elliott not able to make a timely pass on Bobby Hillen, and that's going to cost him a position, no doubt about it. Meanwhile, the gap up here at the front might surprise you. It's increased to 1.74 seconds now as Ricky Rudd continues to put a decent gap here on the leader, and he's starting to put a lap down on some pretty fast cars. He put a lap on Rick Mass that previous lap, and now we've got cars coming down pit road. Earnhardt on pit road, Rudd on pit road. We've got a couple of other leaders on pit road, so we should be expecting to see leaders starting to hit the deck here. As I try to find a leader, and there he is, Tim Richmond. Hope those 5 bonus points taste well, and the caution is indeed out, as I think there was another issue on pit entrance. Huge. Huge! Huge, huge, huge. Like we said, this is a very difficult pit road to get onto. And these guys are just, this is only the 2nd race here. You see here, Terry Labonte hangs the hard left. Ah, he just clipped it. Just clipped it. You can see a couple other people trying to get on pit road. And that will do it, folks. Caution will come right out. And that's going to shake up the race a little bit. And now we got the 17 car pulling in. That's not a good looking car. He's probably going to go back to the garage right away. He will. All those cars that did pit are just now coming out of the pit, and we'll see how they line up the whole field. as I think NASCAR is trying to figure out who the leader is and who the leader isn't. And right now it looks like they're going to give the lead to Ricky Rudd. Oh, wow. 17, 84, 28, and 75. They're all retiring. So obviously that issue on pit road with the 11 car was more widespread than we thought. Not sure what's going on there with Ken Schrader, but obviously a big issue. Definitely whenever a caution comes out like this, it's a scoring mess. But it looks like your top 5 is going to be Ricky Rudd, Tim Richmond, Dale Earnhardt, Phil Parsons, and Bill Elliott. This is going to be followed by Alan Kowicki, Rusty Wallace, Rick Mast up in the top 10, Brett Bodine, and Harry Gant. It looks like 11 cars will be starting on the lead lap. The 5 and the 6 are on the tail end of the lead lap. Sterling Marlin in the 94 will be scored the first car 1 lap down, but I don't see him. So I think that's going to put Neil Bonnet as the first car 1 lap down. Oh, there's the 94. And well, Neil Bonnet's ahead of him, so that will put the 21 ahead. Now here comes something big here. The 26. Ooh, there goes the 21. Comes back up the track and he's around, and this is going to be big. Phil Parsons up on his roof. 66 involved, and this is going to take a lot of people out. It all started with that 21 car. Let's take a big look at this. Whenever those lap cars gets involved, you can see 4 wide coming up off the corner. Whenever that happens, it's going to be bad. And here you go. Earnhardt just pops the 55 on his roof. The 15 and 66, 14-2, they all get together. 83 gets into the 15. The 3 can't get up off the wall. Here comes the 7 racing the 3 back to the line and will beat them. And that's going to take a lot of good race cars out of the race. As we said, this is definitely a race of attrition. Ricky Rudd still got it, though. No doubt about that. Pretty much just going to wait for everyone to line up. 10 cars, 11 cars are being shown on the lead lap, but I think Brett Bodine being involved in that last incident really can't be counted too much towards that. Man, that mangled some cars up, no doubt about it. You can definitely see the battle scars on these cars, no doubt about it. When we said that this was going to be a race of attrition, we were not kidding. Half the field is currently registered as out. And it's just your typical short track racing here. Now, this is just the way it is. Just some hard-nosed short track racing. That's what happens. Ricky Rudd is just, he's got to be sweating bullets right now. He's just trying to hold on, trying to get off the schneid, trying to get his first career win since Charlotte in 1985, which was a race which was the final race in his incredible streak in 1985, where he led at least one lap in 21 straight races. So your top 5 is going to be Ricky Rudd, Tim Richmond. How about Larry Pearson in 3rd? That's going to get a groan from the crowd. Harry Gant 4th, and Bill Elliott 5th. Here they come up off of turn 4 to the tri-oval. Here the line. Green flag is back out here from Richmond here at lap 69. And Richmond here at Richmond got a really good jump. But he's going to be mettled by Sterling Marlin there down to the bottom. And they all saved it back there, but they're going to wreck coming down the straightaway. No, they don't. They do not. Everyone scrambling. Good Lord. Look out. 33 taps the wall. And that was almost major problems there. But the big news is Ricky Rudd's still able to get away after that cluster back there. Larry Pearson trying to get a career best 3rd place finish if he can hold on. The next battle for position is way back. It's all the way back with Bill Elliott. Can Ricky Rudd hold on for just 29 more laps? And that's gonna seem like an eternity for him. Man, Ricky Rudd, this guy is just incredible. He's just incomparable. Like I said, I just can't think of somebody that has gone this long without a win, yet be so intertwined with being at the front of the pack. I mean, I swear Ricky Rudd was in the top 10, if not the top 5, every single week for the past 2 or 3 years. And he just hasn't been able to, last year, nobody had the speed to keep up with Richmond, Earnhardt, Elliott, and Wallace. Those 4 guys just ran away with the title. But here you can see maybe things might be a little bit different. If Richmond is able to run Ricky Rudd down, that will continue the streak. Chevys will go 4 for 4. Meanwhile, if Ricky Rudd ends up taking the victory here, this would be this is incredible too. This would be the first win for Buick since the Charlotte race of 1986, the fall Charlotte race of 1986, where Bobby Allison was able to come home with the victory. Is that right? No, that's actually not right, because Morgan Shepherd won in the number 26 Buick at Talladega in 1987. So yeah, that's actually wrong. So sorry about that one. That was just plain old wrong. Fake news. But yeah. Well, that's the last time that Buick's won, so Buick would get off their slide. Rudd would get off their slide. Things would start looking back up. Meanwhile, Larry Pearson, having a, let's just say, less than stellar season last year, he really failed to impress anybody, really. He had a pretty stunning 1986 campaign when he was filling in for Rick Wilson, who had to permanently leave the sport after an accident at Dover, I believe. And boy, he just didn't live up to those good finishes in 1988. Just didn't do well in general. And meanwhile, he's getting ran down here by Alan Kulwicki. Now, fourth place, that would tie his best career finish, and that happened at Talladega. Another track where it's pretty much known anyone can win. I'm sure Alan Kulwicki will be ecstatic if he's able to come away with a third place today. With all the stuff he's been through in this race, fighting through wrecks and fighting through pit road mishaps and all this stuff, here he goes. He's going to be able to get Larry Pearson out of the way. The 7 will come down to the inside, and he's going to get him. There you go. Alan Kulwicki is going to go to third place. Meanwhile, the rabbit chase continues at the front. Ricky Rudd, Tim Richmond basically turning identical lap times. We take a look at the lap time rundown. You're not going to be able to see it. But Ricky Rudd, 113.857 miles an hour. Tim Richmond, 113.958 miles an hour. So Tim Richmond just a little bit faster. And that time, Ricky Rudd was just a little bit faster. So these guys are pretty much equaling each other's pace. Lap traffic will probably get in the way by the end of this race, though. So things can definitely get interesting quick here. We'll see just how interesting they become. Tim Richmond. Oh, it seems like he closed in a ton on Ricky Rudd there. I don't know, maybe looks can be deceiving, but I could have swore he closed in a ton on Ricky Rudd there. Yeah, looks are just deceiving. No gain or loss. Meanwhile, Bill Elliott has passed Larry Pearson for the 4th position. Richmond gained a little bit there. Meanwhile, we said the lap traffic is going to be an issue. They're definitely going to catch him in the next 2 or 3 laps. Ooh, Richmond closed big there, almost a 1/10 of a second. Should be noting, Alan Kulwicki's also running pretty much at the pace of the leaders back in 3rd place, so he's got a pretty fast race car too. Lap traffic is going to decide the fate of this race. That's going to be the case, unfortunately, for Ricky Rudd. He's just going to have to pitch a perfect game with this lap traffic. Can he keep the 1987 champion behind him? Boy, we're just going to have another really good finish to this race. Just like last week at Atlanta. We're wondering if Earnhardt was going to get ran down. He did not. Now we're wondering if Richmond's going to, if Rudd's going to get run down. And now we've got this giant cluster of lap traffic. This is going to change everything. 10 laps to go. Can Ricky Rudd hold on? Three wide. Hang on there, Butch Miller. Looks like that they're keeping the gap pretty much the same between the two of them. Ricky Rudd's doing a really good job here with the lap traffic. It hasn't slowed him down much. All it takes is one, though. All it takes is one. I would argue that the lap traffic's actually giving Richmond more of a fit than it is with Ricky Rudd. Look at this. This has just been expertly done driving by Ricky Rudd. He's just done a fantastic job. That was just weapons grade driving right there by Ricky Rudd. That just shows you that this man knows how to drive a stock car. Now we'll see if Richmond can reel back in Ricky Rudd, because he had the margin to 0.4 of a second, and now it's back up to 0.6. Ooh, Kyle Petty slamming the door shut on Ricky Rudd. There's your few tenths of a second back. As you said, it only takes one. Yep, he's got it back to 0.4. Oh, looks like Richmond's right there. There's only about a car length between them now. Thing is, I don't think they're going to make it to Ken Schrader. If they make it to Ken Schrader, this race can get really interesting. 5 laps to go. Ricky Rudd just trying to hang on. Tim Richmond right on the back of the 26. Only a car length separates them. And it looks like the 26 is starting to pull away a little bit. Maybe Rudd's a little bit faster. I don't know, these two cars I think are dead equal, and it's really gonna take something from Tim Richmond to really get on the back bumper of Ricky Rudd and try to make a move. Like I said, it might take a desperation move out of Tim Richmond to be able to get this done. I don't know. You take a look at those last 2 laps. These two guys are dead equal. Dead equal. And they're going to make it to Schrader. Ricky Rudd's going to have to deal with Ken Schrader, and that is Tim Richmond's teammate in the 25. So now things are going to get super interesting with 2 laps to go. Does Schrader throw a block move and try to get his teammate to win this race? Here we go. They're going to take the white flag. It looked like Richmond lost a lot of momentum. Ken Schrader unable to do anything. Rudd's just going to get around him. Rudd's going on the back straightaway. He can pretty much taste the checkered flag now, unless he really messes up here in 3 and 4, which isn't going to happen. Rudd's going to be able to do it. He's going to come to the line, and he is going to win here at Richmond. Finally. After 3 years of struggle, Ricky Rudd has finally been able to get it done. Finally. And you can see, why not? More people hitting the pit road guardrail. So Ricky Rudd finally able to get a win, and that's going to boost him up to 8th in the standings. You'll see here that Dale Earnhardt still leads the points. It's by 50 over Jeff Bodine. Bill Elliott will be 3rd, Tim Richmond 4th, and actually Sterling Marlin and Brett Bodine are still 5th and 6th, and that's quite impressive to see them still that high, even 4 races into the season. We take a look at the Rookie of the Year battle, and like we said, obvious favorite Hutch Strickland. He is 16th in points. And where is everyone else? Good Lord. So Hutch Strickland, 16th. Jimmy Spencer, 22nd. Ben Hess, 25th. Butch Miller, 27th. Dick Trickle, 28th. Mickey Gibbs, 35th. Rick Mass, 36th. And I think that'll be it. Yeah, that will be it. So we'll see you next time for the race at Darlington, where I imagine things are going to get a whole lot more interesting.